Hello and welcome to a new episode of B2B E-Commerce Integrated. My name is Arno, Chief Product Officer of Sana Commerce. And with Sana Commerce, we believe that by using ERP integration, B2B companies are more successful than B2B companies that use mainstream e-commerce solutions. You do not have to replicate the data and logic around complex pricing, stock, orders or quotes with multiple systems, and there is no need to maintain that data and logic in these various systems. More importantly, less prone to error by making ERP and commerce work as one. This results in better relationships with your B2B buyers and more commercial success. So today I'm not interviewing an IT leader. I want to talk about my perspective on why the relationship between IT and business is lacking and how this can be solved by focusing on the external relationship with your B2B buyers. So we have commissioned Sapio Research recently to survey 1,000 IT leaders of manufacturing, wholesale and distributing companies worldwide. We have turned this data into the IT Leaders Outlook on the B2B E-Commerce Report series. The driving force behind this report series was to understand better the challenges IT leaders face on the road to implementing and benefiting from their B2B e-commerce solution. In the series' first report, we dove into the risk and cost of having a bad B2B e-commerce solution. Based on the downtime data the company supplied in the survey, we know that $265,000 is at risk per year on average because of that. Besides, we know 41% of the time of IT managers is spent on maintenance, and around 37% of the IT budget is spent on integration. These are not very optimistic numbers, knowing that we are heading to a recession where time, resources and budget become even more important to spend wisely, right? So 92% of the IT leaders have at least one frustration with their current B2B e-commerce platform. At the same time, 84% are unhappy with their current solution because it's negatively impacts the business. So in the second report, the wave of business impact IT faces in B2B e-commerce, we dig a bit deeper into what is hurting companies most with B2B commerce and how this affects the relationship with the business. So how to improve the relationship between IT and business? First of all, choose a B2B e-commerce solution that fits all the requirements from a business and a technical perspective, or bring as a starting point IT and business together at the table, right? If you're starting with B2B e-commerce. B2B e-commerce complexity. The number one reason IT leaders are unhappy is, with 30%, the additional complexity that came with their current B2B e-commerce solution. So why is it so complex, or why is it becoming so complex? That is because the long-lasting relationships have made B2B companies successful in the first place. So still in the offline world, for example. And if you want to transform that online, that is complex. These relationships are successful because of the customer approach these companies are doing, meaning special prices they are giving to their customers, customer service agreements, and logistical and payment rules per customer. On top of that, B2B businesses usually have a large assortment of different SKUs. So B2B businesses are complex, meaning B2B e-commerce is complex as well. So for the IT managers, that means that if you have 30,000 SKUs and 100 active, let's say, buying customers, you could end up with 30 million records or pricing records that needs to be updated, sometimes multiple times per week. So that's just an example on how quickly something can get big or complex in the terms of IT. So in the third episode of the B2B E-Commerce Integrated podcast with Ronnie from Polvam, he was actually mentioning and explaining this as well, because he sometimes needed to update the prices on a daily basis for over 300,000 products due to the current supply chain issues. The cost of raw materials fluctuates at any time, so this is causing an enormous pressure on his department to ensure the correct prices are shown online. Hence, they still want to make enough margin, right? So you do not want to sell something which is not having the correct price. Having healthy margins means that the commercial departments or responsible persons are happy. The business is happy, but IT needs to be satisfied as well, because they do not want to do this with a lot of hassle. Another example that ties nicely into this is the interview I recently did with Richard Musson of Motor Direct in episode 9. Their former marketing manager pushed for a mainstream e-commerce solution when they wanted to serve their B2B buyers online because he had B2C experience with the platform. So Motor Direct has a complicated pricing model for their B2B buyers, stored in their ERP. But that could not be replicated into their B2B web store running on that mainstream e-commerce solution. So ultimately, they had to cancel the contract and end the implementation, and the relationship with the business was harmed. So my advice to IT leaders when choosing a B2B e-commerce platform is to navigate the business and make sure that you and they know how difficult it is from a technical perspective to make B2B e-commerce work due to all these complexities. So aside from the technical perspective, you also want adoption of your web store by the B2B buyers, and that is needed to get your return on investment. We know from the report that low web store adoption is a problem that comes back to IT. 67% of IT leaders report that low adoption harms their business relationships. There are a number of reasons, but the top reasons are an outdated design, lack of user experience, lack of B2B specific features, and no real-time data available within the account section for purchasing like stock prices, etc. This kind of data. What is causing the most significant friction between the business and IT are the order errors. Of all the IT tickets received from the business, 25% are because of order errors. So it's not only an immersive frustration for IT to solve these tickets, but also key frustration of the B2B buyer, which is making the business unhappy now that he is afraid the relationship is getting harmed. So an order error is an enemy of everyone. When customers get an incorrect order because data was wrong, the business will immediately look at the IT department. This is because the data is not real time. Customers can order something which is not in stock, or even worse, get things delivered that they did not order at all, because it was not automatically processed with the backend systems. As an IT leader, you are doing a hard job to ensure all the data is replicated with all these complexities involved. However, it still ends up in order errors, a frustrated customer, and an unhappy sales manager on the line. Making your ERP and e-commerce work as one will not only eliminate the system silos, but also align the business with IT, leaving everyone happy.